About 100 members of the 190th Air Refueling Wing are part of this deployment to Guam. And while it's not exactly a hotbed of conflict right now, there is still a job to do, which can bring a few butterflies, especially if it's your first deployment.
It felt like it was the right thing to do.
Senior Airman Chris Snow followed in his father's and grandfather's footsteps in joining the Air National Guard, and while he saw them deploy, this is his first.
This is my first time being out of the States. I think the only thing that made it really nerve-wracking was not knowing what to expect. Being my first deployment, not knowing how it's going to go.
It's a different story for 16-year Guard veteran Major Jared Ramsey. His deployments?
Probably more times than I can count. I think this is my 4th time to Guam now, and 3 times to the Middle East now. I don't say I get nervous anymore. It depends on where you're going, but we know we plan for it, get mentally prepared before we leave, and by the time we get there and leave, our training's, pretty significant.
And Ramsey, who is a commercial airline pilot in civilian life, says you're among friends. It's why he keeps coming back.
You spend a lot of time with the people around us now, so it's a sense of camaraderie. I enjoy it, so, I keep doing it.
As the hours pass and mountains below give way to endless ocean, No says his nerves are replaced by excitement to carry out his mission.
Just go with the flow, help out whenever you can.
Senior Airman No is a Shawnee Heights graduate studying to become an aircraft mechanic. We'll be getting a first-hand look at what he and his fellow guardsmen and women will be doing in Guam in the days ahead, and we'll also find out why Guam is an increasingly important location for today's military. We look forward to sharing those reports with you. For now, reporting from Honolulu, Melissa Bruner, 13 News. The island of Guam is all of 212 square miles, but it's home to arguably one of the world's most diverse landing strips at Andersen Air Force Base.
The basic mission is to receive and employ combat power. You'll find everything from helicopters all the way to B-52 bombers and everything in between. We have tanker aircraft, we have lots of cargo airplanes.
When you see Guam's beautiful scenic shoreline, you might think this is an assignment where our airmen and women just come to kick back and relax. But Andersen actually has a very serious strategic mission.
This is one of the few locations, and I would argue the only location, where over U.S. sovereign territory we can do air operations, surface operations either on the land or in the water, and subsurface operations concurrently.
Air Force Colonel Samuel White, a native of Kansas City, Missouri, is the Operations Group Commander at Andersen. He says the base is a crucial staging area for humanitarian and disaster relief missions in the Asia-Pacific region. It stretches from Australia to Alaska and Diego Garcia to Hawaii. It includes nations like the Philippines, North and South Korea, Japan, and China. Within that region, the U.S. has 5 bilateral treaty agreements.
It's not just about deterring adversaries, but it's also about assuring our alliances.
Among those allies are emerging threats. North Korea's forays into weapons testing are well documented, and China is flexing its muscle as well. For example, they've floated man-made islands in the Pacific, which recent images show may be capable of landing aircraft. It's why Andersen is key in what the U.S. military is calling the Asia-Pacific rebalance, tipping our forces to maintain a more sustainable presence in the area. Construction is underway to bring Marines to Guam from Okinawa, Japan, the first new U.S. Marine base built since 1944. Work also continues to modernize the hangars and other Navy and Air Force facilities on Andersen.
How we structure our force, Andersen has to be part of that equation.
But monitoring those threats and maintaining alliances couldn't be done without mid-air refueling.
The vastness of the Pacific, the tyranny of distance that we call it, we would not be able to get that B-52 to the areas that we need to get to without the tankers.
That's where the National Guard and groups like Topeka's 190th Air Refueling Wing come in. They know that now, more than ever, this is no vacation assignment.
We need to know what's happening around the world, and so making sure that our folks have that awareness, that helps them understand that the job that they do here is critically important.
Important not just for world security, but for your bottom line, because the Pacific isn't empty. It is the highway upon which much of the world's commerce, the items you see at the store, travels.
With the economic input and the increase, that needs to be underpinned by the security aspect of it.
705, start switches.
There's never a bad day flying.
Taking off from Andersen Air Force Base in Guam, members of the 190th Air Refueling Wing are on a mission. This B-52 cannot get across the Pacific without stopping for fuel, and with nowhere to land in the endless waters below, they do it in midair. It's a task that requires surgical precision from boom operators Gabe Ramirez and Adam Beckman.
This takes a lot of focus. You got to be definitely paying attention. You got to watch what he's doing back there. You got to make sure you tell your pilots where he's at in case they need to make adjustments.
They fly the plane based on where that guy's at. When he moves right, it moves our entire airplane to the right. And if it gets too close, it can create an unsafe environment where you could crash. So it's my job to kind of control all that and make sure he's not, let's get too close.
But close is exactly what the B-52 must get. In order to latch on and fill up the tank, the boom can transfer about 1,000 gallons a minute.
It's not every day you get to see airplanes from 30 feet away from you.
While what they're doing up here in the air is the focal point of the 190th mission, there is a lot happening back on the ground to ensure it's a success.
We told them to get fixed.
A crew of 4 is on the actual flight, but the deployment involves about 100 Guard members in all.
We have a lot of support staff. Without the support staff, we couldn't fly our jets that we have because those pilots and those boom operators, they need their flight records. They need medical. We've got documentation that needs to be done prior to a mission. There's orders that need to be generated. That all comes from the support staff. We have aircrew flight equipment. There's ID cards, there's records.
And they have people like Captain Janet Dial in Intel, keeping an eye on what's around them.
Those threats can be anything from naval assets, friendly forces that are in the area, to actual threats from other countries that might be watching us as we're going through our daily missions.
Those missions could involve escorting aircraft from one location in the Pacific to another, providing support to those on an assigned task, transporting medical patients themselves, or, like today's run, ensuring all pilots and boom operators get required touches to keep their skills sharp. No matter how duty calls, all say they're happy to answer. Whether it's Captain Dial, who has 4 children at home, including a 7-month-old.
I've been called to do this. This is my service. This is what I'm humbled and proud to do.
Or Chief Vaughn Burns, a Kansas City, Missouri police detective in his day job.
There's a lot of opportunities for individuals like myself and others that want to aspire to do something that they never imagined they could do.
Like refueling an aircraft at 30,000 feet.
Did you pass them off with the plate banging on it?
Being a small town guy from Holton, Kansas, it's just kind of neat to get to see what I've got to see. You know, the aircraft I've got to see, the places I've got to see. Like, we're over the Pacific right now. This is real neat.
More importantly, carrying out their mission is essential to the military's mission. It just doesn't hurt that their task has arguably the best view.
I couldn't think of a better job I'd want to do in the military right now.
The 190th Command Chief Master Sergeant Patrick Moore is about to open the door on a new chapter.
This is all I've done my whole adult life.
After 35 years of service, he'll retire in January.
This is kind of a bittersweet time for me.
But not before this one final deployment to Guam.
You know, I spent most of my career. Over 35 years, you get to go do a lot of things in a lot of places and get to do really rewarding work. Couldn't be more proud of the opportunities that I've had and to serve with such great people and to make a difference, to do great things around the world and to be part of a team.
As much as Chief Moore has done and seen, his final deployment is actually bringing a pretty special first. It is first time deploying with this particular mechanic, who also happens to be his son, Chris.
I thought it would be a good opportunity to spend some time together and to be here on his last one.
Staff Sergeant Chris Moore joined the 190th 7 years ago.
It was something that I felt like I should do because it was something I wanted to do, not necessarily something he wanted me to do, but it was something that we could do together and share a bond. It's something I've always looked forward to doing. He's somebody I've always looked up to, and I think it's just been something I was destined to do.
I couldn't be more proud of him, and it's great to have your children follow in your footsteps and something that you're so proud of and something that you believe in so strongly. So having him now do that and carry on and see what the future will hold for the unit and for him is pretty exciting.
And looking to the future, Chief Moore believes it's in good hands with his son and with all the other sons and daughters and brothers and sisters he's worked alongside over the years.
It's a huge family. It's our culture. I have been pretty blessed.